FM.
So, welcome to another episode of Disability Life 2025. I'm, of course, Pete Lansman, as always, and today's guest is of a Paralympic accredited journalist and commentator. I'm joined by Dylan Cummings. Welcome on, Dylan.
Hi, Peter. Sorry, my phone just goes off right as we start recording. Sorry about that. But hi, Peter. How are you doing?
You're doing very well. How are you?
Yeah, good. Thanks, and thank you for having me on today.
That's all right. So your condition is of same as mine actually, cerebral palsy. What
Yeah,
type of cerebral palsy do you have?
I've got quadriplegic cerebral palsy.
Ah, same then.
Yeah,
Um, and so how was that in your early days? I mean, were you born premature?
yeah. Born 3 months premature, um, and used a what's called a K walker, from the ages of 3 till about 12, and then been in a manual wheelchair ever since.
So no electric chair.
No, no. I did consider it, but then when I got introduced to basketball, I wanted to keep up my strength. Like, in fairness, having an electric chair would probably be easier, but I like having my upper body strength, so I want to keep that for as long as possible, you know.
Fair enough. And so the early days, of course, a frame walker, school, primary school, secondary school. How was that?
Yeah, school. So yeah, I just went to like mainstream primary, mainstream secondary. Yeah, primary school was great. All my memories of that was, yeah, great. Like, was treated just like everybody else. Um, Obviously got around differently to people, but yeah, primary school memories were great. And then obviously as you get to teenage years, they're difficult years anyway. So you start to realize, oh, I'm a bit different to everybody else, and you know you it's hard to come to terms with it sometimes, but I think I have done it. I wasn't at the time when I was a teenager, but yeah, um, I think I'll try and explain it a bit better. Yeah, I think high school years were difficult, but you get through them, and like I have done, and yeah, just happy with my life the way it is now.
And when does sport come in for you?
Yeah, so growing up, I wasn't really a sporty person. I liked playing Xbox and PlayStation as a kid, Nintendo DS, all that kind of stuff. Never really interested in sport. The first exposure to Paralympic sport was when I was 10. We watched Beijing on the TV, and then it was kind of just like a one-off thing. And then obviously London came around, and it was quite a monumental event. I never actually went to any events in London, but it was on the TV a lot. I remember the opening ceremony was quite a pivotal point in the way I viewed Paralympic sport at the time. Um, I just remember that opening ceremony being ingrained in my head, and then a few months after the London 2012, my parents were going through a separation at the time, and my mum moved from the Highlands of Scotland to Northern England in Carlisle, and she saw wheelchair basketball at the Paralympics and just Googled the nearest wheelchair basketball club. And to her surprise, she found one in Carlisle because she thought that she'd have to take me to Newcastle or somewhere like that, but there was one in Carlisle, so I went along to that. Um, and then I didn't necessarily enjoy the sport at first, but I can just remember going to the first session and seeing all the different people with different disabilities, and there was like people with cerebral palsy, amputees, people with various other disabilities, and I just couldn't believe they were all together in the one place, because for so long it had just been me. I grew up on in the Highlands of Scotland on an island where it was only 3,500 people that lived there, and I was really the only disabled kid in the school. So like that is what it is. It's not. I'm not saying anything. There was nothing bad about that, but it was always I didn't see anyone like me, you know. And then when I went to this session, I saw a bunch of these people like similar to me. So that was quite yeah, it was good to see. And then I think about 18 months of playing, I got selected to play for Scotland juniors. And I went to the junior championships in Stoke Mandeville. And at the time, there was about 120 kids playing in the under 19 competition. So seeing that many disabled people uh, from all over the country, you know, there was all the home nations were there and the regions from England. Seeing that many people was just crazy, and yeah, the fact we were all together and almost like a big community was like quite nice. And then ever since that junior tournament, I've just loved the sport ever since.
And so tell me, how old were you when you started playing water basketball? What age were you, sorry?
Uh, yeah, 14 going on 15.
Right, okay. And you moved to your mum, you mentioned. Um,
Yeah.
and did she kind of pursue, oh, let's have a look at water basketball, or was it you that pushed towards mum Googling?
Yeah, no, she Googled it. I had no idea what she was doing, and she just randomly mentioned it to me, and I was a bit like, oh, because you know what it's like when parents suggest things, and you're like, oh, for
Yeah.
goodness sake. But I decided to give it a go, and yeah, it's probably without a doubt the best thing I've ever done. Yeah.
And was it any particular reason why it was water basketball? Was it just the only sport that was on the TV? You know, because I feel like there's not 22 other sports.
Yeah, I'm not really sure why, but I think it was just the sport that she saw the most at the Paralympics.
Right.
So she decided to Google that. I mean, and then it wasn't until after I started basketball that I realized there was other sports and that kind of. But like once I went there and got into basketball, I was like, this is it for me, you know?
Okay. So you didn't
Yeah.
you didn't kind of play any other sports then?
I have tried rugby a couple of times when I was at uni, and just with all the things that were going on at uni. Like I went to uni, my undergrad was in Worcester, and the rugby club was in Gloucester. So I'm not medically able to drive. So like I went a couple of times and it was good. Enjoyed seeing the guys there, but it was just a lot to juggle with uni and coursework, and back then when I was at uni, I liked to go out. I was pretty much out once a week, as you do at uni. So
No.
yeah, but yeah, the only other sport I've tried. No, actually, that's a lie. I have tried tennis as well, but yeah, moving the chair with the racket in hand is just yeah too complex. I think.
Yeah, it's quite tough, isn't it?
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so you mentioned university. So tell me, GCSEs sport related, I'm assuming? Or was it when you went into sixth form college, sport became your big motivation?
No, so yeah, with GCSEs, I actually can't remember the ones I picked, but I remember one of them was health and social care,
Right.
and I still don't know why I picked that, but
Ah,
um um so yeah, I think I came out with I think about seven GCSEs at the time, and then um yeah, like I knew I didn't want to stay on to sixth form. I wanted to go the college route, but I really didn't know what I wanted to do like college wise. And for some reason, because I got like a decent grade at GCSE, I decided to do health and social care at college, which again, you talk about wheelchair basketball being one of my best decisions. Doing health and social care at college was probably one of the worst decisions. And then uh at the time, um, British wheelchair basketball GB program had moved to Worcester Uni. And even at the time, like, my goal, and it sounds silly now, but my goal as a kid was, oh yeah, I want to get to GB and that kind of stuff. But even then, like I knew obviously I wasn't good enough to play for GB, but I wanted to be involved in sort of like the media side of things or like behind the scenes kind of thing. So I thought there'd be an opportunity for that. So then I was like even when I first started college, I knew I wanted to go. I was already looking ahead to Worcester as the next step because that's what really got me through college because college wasn't really a good time. Um, and then yeah, I noticed like journalism and like part of the journalism was sports journalism, but I didn't want to limit myself to just sports journalism. So I done like it was a journalism and media and culture joint bachelor's that I done. So yeah, it's actually funnily enough, after I started college, I finally got a plan of where I wanted to go afterwards. Whereas going into college, I didn't really have a plan of what I wanted to do.
And university, where did you go for you? Where did you go for uni?
Yeah, so I done my undergrad at Worcester and my master's during the COVID year at Edinburgh Napier.
All right. The work, the work path that you took. I'm not going to go through all of them because there's about 38 different roles that you've done. I saw on your LinkedIn, so I'm not going to go through
Yeah,
all of them. But I will go through a couple of them. So,
yeah,
um, so you're, as I said, you're a Paralympic accredited wheelchair basketball commentator and journalist.
yeah,
We've just touched on your journalism side of things. Um, but commentating, how did you get into that?
yeah. So commentary was always something I, I could have seen myself doing, but I didn't really know what pathway to go down and all this kind of stuff. So at the time I spoke to the head of media at the IWBF, the International Wheelchair Basketball Federation. And this was it wasn't necessarily about commentary. This was about like writing and interviewing and that side of things. And she put me in contact with the head of uh, the person who was running the media at the World Championships. And so I initially spoke to him about like match reports and interview because I'd had like match report experience before, match reports and interviewing people and all this kind of stuff. And then he said to me, "Oh, is there anything else you'd like to do?" And I says, "Well, I've always fancied doing a bit of commentary, but like I've never done it before." And thankfully, he took a chance on me and went to the World Championships. Ended up doing a lot more commentary than I thought I was going to do, and didn't necessarily. I think I maybe have done a couple of interviews, and somebody else done the match reports. So yeah, that really opened my eyes to like a new pathway, and like obviously because it was my first time, like looking back on it, like I've grown leaps and bounds since then, and it's like I wanted more opportunities, or I wanted more more chances to get better and this kind of stuff. So since then, like whenever there's ever been a tournament announced, I've always tried to message the organizer and get involved and get more experience under my belt. And I think that really worked out. I mean, there was a bit of a break during the pandemic, which was difficult to. It was difficult to. How would I explain? Difficult to comprehend at the time because I just started picking up some steam and then everything just stopped and I'm like, oh no, is this going to continue? Like, what's going to happen? And then in 2022, I just continued reaching out to people and like I've come on leaps and bounds, I think, and like this past year, like working on a game for Whisper TV, the production company behind Channel 4, like that was just phenomenal. Like to achieve my main goal in just 6 years. Like I always get like how do I explain? I always want to achieve and achieve and achieve, and it's like when things take like because I didn't achieve it at Tokyo, and I thought, oh no, this is the end of the world, blah blah blah, and then eventually get
Was
it
at
at
the
Paris,
time.
and it's like, and even thinking back on it now, like to do that with it, to achieve it within 6 years is good going, because it takes a lot of people a lot longer to get where they want to go. But like it's not just because I've achieved my number one goal. It was my number one goal at the time. There's still lots of other things I want to achieve. I want to be involved in LA, and I've recently tried to branch out into other para sports. So I'm currently in talks with other federations, but it feels like I'm starting out again because obviously I haven't had experience commentating on any other para sport besides wheelchair basketball. So
Well, that's good. Wanting to branch into other sports and learn to try to do it a different way.
yeah,
Um, the so sorry, we didn't get a some sort of times over there. So when was it that this bloke took a chance on you and you went to the championships?
it was in 2018, so I think
Yeah,
about 6.5 years ago. Yeah,
yep, got you. Okay,
yeah,
and and then you're also an interviewer, reporter, and a writer. So
yeah.
so which ones do you like doing best, and which ones do you not like doing so much?
I would say I like doing them all. Like, so commentary is my main focus, I would say, and I think since 2022, I've mainly been focused on that. Like, I haven't done many interviews. I used to do a lot more interviews in like 2018, 19, 20, and then I think sometimes the way my mind works is like, even though it shouldn't be like this, it's the way sometimes my own thoughts get in the way. Like, so like I thought at the time, I don't think this now, but at the time I thought, well, if I'm doing too much of interviewing, then people won't see me as the commentator. So I kind of switched it up to focus more on commentary, which I don't regret because it's obviously panned out. Um, but like, there's no reason why I can't be a commentator and interviewer because I love doing both. Like I love like chatting to the players, getting to know them, and I know a lot of the players quite on a personal level, and I feel like I can connect with them and stuff like that. So yeah, hopefully I can get back into interviewing in the coming years. But the problem is with a lot of para sport like broadcast equipment. It's not always state of the art because there's limited funds, limited money. So sometimes it's not possible to like have the equipment to interview people. And like I'm looking into getting like small portable equipment that I can carry myself because whenever I do go to these tournaments, I'm quite a minimalist, so I take I try and fit as much as I can into one bag because it's just easier to travel that way. Because if I'm in a wheelchair and trying to carry multiple different bags and multiple lots of equipment, it can just become too difficult.
Yes, but when I was at uni doing my masters in sports journalism, I had like two bags, and I could only carry
Yeah,
one of them. It was a massive struggle trying to carry them both. It was absolutely ridiculous.
yeah,
So yeah, I feel your pain there. Um,
yeah.
yeah. And so when did you join tax? Now, obviously, tax is the ability group for everyone else that doesn't know what it is. And it's basically a group full of people that want to get into journalism in the power sport world.
Yeah, I actually joined tags in its inception when it first started in 2022. But I haven't always been to every meeting because I'll be, I how to explain? I like being a part of tags, but like when it comes to me organizing my own things, I like to do that because like then if I like if I say to tags, "Oh, can you organize this?" Then it's like it puts an unfair expectation on them, I think. So I appreciate being a member of tags. I get on really well with Nate Williams, the lead of tags. I've known Nate a long time, like through basketball, and I think I've known him since I think it was just after I started doing the commentary. So yeah, and so yeah, I've now tried to like attend as many virtual meetings as I can. You know, I'd love to go and meet them in person because I know sometimes they sometimes have like a once a year in person meeting, so that'd be good. But yeah, I would say even though I joined tags when it first started, I've only just now started to attend meetings regularly because I'm just trying to pick up and learn from a, a, a load of different other people. Whereas beforehand, I was very much focused on like, oh, this is it's down to me to make this happen. I need to put in all this work.
course. And it's a nice way to get into it and to be able
Oh
to
yeah,
at least see what's around and,
yeah, yeah. Of course, it's great to like meet other people, especially other people that might be in other para sport fields. Like, and you know, I think Nate really deserves a pat on the back, or more than a pat on the back for what he's done for the disabled community and just the fact that it exists. I mean, you would have never thought about it even 10 years ago. Like you wouldn't think like that would have existed.
absolutely. And yeah, a massive shout out to him and the group there. So, and that's actually how we met, actually, wasn't it, Tags?
Yeah, it was, yeah. And then yeah, I've connected with you since through there. And yeah, I appreciate all that you've told me about bocce, and you know, I've tried to like hopefully looking into cover sports like bocce in the future. But I suppose we'll just have to wait and see.
Absolutely. And you've had quite a busy year last year, and
Yeah,
you've done many things, mostly commentating on various basketball stuff. Um,
yeah.
and the one that caught my eye was the one that he did in Canada, March last year.
Canada. March.
TNG Canada, I think.
Oh, so yeah, sorry, that wasn't commentating as such.
Oh,
So it was like being a sort of like giving my opinions and expertise on the tournament in Paris. So it was actually during the Paralympics.
yeah, okay.
So, but basically, what I done is when I secured the Whisper TV Channel 4 commentary position, even though I'd secured something that I wanted, I also wanted to reach out to the other networks that covered uh, Paralympic sport in their respective countries just to get their feedback and their opinions and all this kind of thing. So I reached out, and it wasn't to angle myself for another job as such because I'd already secured what I wanted, but it was just to initially get feedback, and it was actually the Canadian broadcasting company that came to me and says, "Oh, we've not got a commentary opportunity, but we've got an opportunity for you to give your like expert opinions and like your expectations of the tournament." So I just said yes, as it didn't clash with anything I'd pre-booked. So yeah, it's great to get my foot in the door with CBC, and you know it could lead to like further things down the line, which is great. And I'm all about hustling for the opportunities, you know.
Was that actually going over there or was that online?
Yeah, so I was I didn't go over to Canada. It's kind of I'll try and explain it the best I can. So I was giving my opinions for their platform, but I was actually doing it when I was in Paris.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, got ya.
Because, because for the Paralympics, for the first bit of it, I was at home. For the middle part of it, I was at the Whisper TV studios, and for the end of it, I went out to Paris itself.
Yeah. And Paris was quite good, wasn't it?
Yeah, I thought I mean, I only saw the basketball competition, but I thought the
Of
competition
course.
was pretty good. Um, One thing that I thought could have been improved was the accessibility around Paris itself.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you went to Paris for a little bit, didn't you, as well?
Yeah, I did. I went for the whole time. And yeah, I remember being there at the closing ceremony, and
Yeah.
it was the best accessible, or accessible was better than it was before. And I'm like, it wasn't. No, not at all. And I've since heard horror stories from friends and people that I've got in touch with, and they said, no, it's not been the best either. So they're kind of, misleading with that statement of, oh, we've had the. I mean, they even said the metro was accessible. It wasn't.
No, I had somebody that told me, literally it was one stop that was accessible, and like some of my friends that are ambulatory wheelchair users, so they can walk around a little bit, literally had to like carry their
Yeah.
chairs, and it was yeah, it was a nightmare.
Yeah.
But do you see multiple sports, or was it mainly bocce that you
Oh,
watch?
I want to see a lot of other sports as well. So
Yeah,
I went off to see, but to obviously for one session. I then looked into the swimming
yeah,
and swimming, but and then I went off to goalball, table tennis, tennis, playing football, and wheelchair basketball.
nice. Oh,
So
that's good.
yeah, a nice mixture. Um, I mean, I had a couple of 3 days to just do what I wanted to do, really.
Yeah,
So do a bit of sightseeing. Anyway, so you're freelance. You've done most freelance things. The one that caught my eye on the LinkedIn again
yeah.
was the announcing. You did announcing recently.
Yeah, the last announcing, well, it was kind of a bit of both. Like my voice was going out in the arena and in the on the live stream itself. So that yeah, that was for a local tournament at the it was the Celtic Cup. So it was Scotland, Northern Ireland, and Ireland playing this year. Wales usually joins us, but they couldn't this year. So yeah, that was yeah, just a local tournament, and being on the Scotland junior program, it's always great to help out at home because for a lot of these tournaments, I have to go to like Germany or Spain or places like that.
I'm saying it is at the start of the new year. Happy New Year, by the way. I haven't said that. But um, but what's the plan for this year? What's your sort of thought process for the new year? Are you hoping to do 15 more new experiences to put on your LinkedIn?
Yeah, well, so far I've got the first round of the Wheelchair Basketball Champions Cup booked in. I'm going to the group in Madrid, so that's at the end of the month, and then I've got a few other things lined up in the process that I can't really talk about until they're confirmed. But yeah, I think the main thing I've been doing is trying to reach out to other para sports. I've had some positive conversations with some. Some of them have said they haven't got the funding, or they haven't got a need for me at the moment, but they're happy to keep my details. So yeah, the plan for this year is to present myself as more of a brand. To get I'm looking at getting like a couple of mini microphones, like the portable ones that you can just clip on, and like a portable tripod um to do more interviews when I'm at these tournaments. And yeah, so fingers crossed I can branch out to into other para sports, and just create more opportunities for myself because as much as I love what I do, there are like, for example, in the spring and summer, I'm very, very busy. Like I'm almost busy every week, but there are periods of like downtime, as is the nature with freelance, where like in the winter or like throughout the new year, it is a bit of a quiet period. So I just want to keep myself as busy as possible, and also try and make a bit of profit as well.
So the biggest question I've got before we get to the end is how did I get Paralympic accredited? Because I kind of looked into it myself a while ago and it seems like a long process.
Yeah, it is. So I'll try and explain it the best I can. So I knew a couple of photographers, um, and obviously they need to get accredited to obviously take photos. So I actually messaged one of my good friends who sent me the link, and I basically filled out the form as a journalist. And I think for the in Tokyo I was working for a German-based magazine, but I was their English content creator. And then for Paris, I'd done the Whisper Channel 4 thing from the UK, and then when I went out to Paris, I was freelance. So I didn't know how to go about it, but my friend sent me this link, and then I contacted the person that was the head of Paralympics accreditation, and I met all the criteria. I went to school for journalism. It would give you access to the venues for free, and you'd be able to sit in the media tribunal. But the thing is unless you've got a company you work for, like if you're freelance, you will probably have to pay for your own accommodation and transport. That's the only thing. But yeah, super grateful to have been to two consecutively. Like obviously, it gives you so much access to the, like I say, the media tribunal, so you can do work up there. It's like I've never been to the Paralympics as a fan as such, but yeah, it just gives you so much more freedom. But there are still obstacles you have to contend with, like transport and booking your own hotels, because they do offer you like they're so they'd be called Paris 2024 hotels, but they're often quite expensive. So like for example, for Paris, I just booked a cheapish hotel that was not far from the venue that had accessible rooms and just managed from there. But because I booked my own hotel, I had to organize my own transport.
And that's how you got accredited. Lovely. Um, the other question I was to ask you was, are you still playing water basketball to this day?
Yeah, well, I wouldn't say play, but I train once a week just to keep fit. If it was up to me, I would play and train with the Lothian club, but unfortunately, I'm not able to drive. And uh, like Lothian's only half an hour away, but when you try and get there on public transport, it's a bit of a nightmare because it's a bit out the road. So I just train at like a recreational club in the centre of Edinburgh. It's about 20 minutes from my house. So yeah, I just go there once a week.
And what tips or advice? This is the one that I ask everyone at the end of the podcast. Um, so tips and advice. What tips and advice would you give to another happy palsy, like yourself?
Yeah, I would say as a disabled person traveling, it can be quite daunting. Like it was daunting for me when I first done it, especially like going abroad and stuff like that. I would just always say, just try and prepare as much as possible. Like, if you want to go somewhere to a tournament or whatever, try and find a close by hotel and find out if that hotel has accessible rooms. And, you know, you, you have to do a lot of research as a disabled person. So, like, you need to just be prepared to, because the last thing you want to do is get there and then the room isn't accessible and then you're stuck with like having to manage and stuff like that. So just be as prepared as possible, and then obviously in terms of like commentary and when you're doing the actual job, it's just get as much knowledge as you can as possible, like properly research the players. Like the players really appreciate it because I think like it's not like obviously people within para sport know them, but like they're not necessarily always known to like the wider public. So as much knowledge as you can shine on the players, the better.
William. Well, thank you very much for coming on, Dylan.
No worries, Peter, and yeah, again, thank you very much.
Voice. Let's go. Voice FM.